All right, guys, quick discussion about language and how to decide the way that you talk to students, right? So if you've been around a little while, you've heard lots of videos from me talking about developing your own personal voice, your own, kind of approach to things, your own mannerisms, all that sort of jazz, right? And that's very important. But there's another thing that's very important, and it may seem sort of obvious, but it is the concept of parental presentation, all right? So here's the rule that I want you to start with. When you are working with a student during class, at any time, any student, no matter what, of all ages, all the time, okay? Any student, no matter what. What I want you to think is, if I were sitting in this child's dining room, living room, whatever, right next to this child at the dinner table, working on this math or this reading, and the parent were sitting or standing right there next to us, just watching us do this tutoring, what would I actually say? Would I actually say this thing? All right? The reason for this is twofold. One, plenty of times, you guys will notice, the parents literally stand directly behind their child while their child is doing class. So if you say something to the kid, the parent is also going to see it, right? So that's the big obvious one. The secondary thing is, even if the student is not standing right there, the parent is not standing right there, and you can see that the parent is not there on the video, because you always have to be in video, as you know. Even if you can tell that the parent is not there, half the time the parents will look back at the chat history, all right? Now, sometimes it disappears before they get a chance to look at it, but we cannot rely on that as our methodology, all right? So the chances of parents at any point seeing the things that you say to their child is very, very high. What does that mean? One, no cuss words of any kind, right? This should be obvious, but it doesn't matter what the cuss word is. It doesn't matter how small you think it is, right? Shit, damn, doesn't matter. Can't say it, all right? Also, don't say God, right? Don't do that, okay? So like, God dang it or something. No. We have varying levels of conservative, varying levels of religious families. We do not want to insult people and their, religion. We do not want to present children with a level of profanity that the parents are not comfortable with. That's just not a thing that we are about, okay? And it is in no way ever necessary to say the words shit, damn, or any other cuss words in front of a child in order to teach them math. If it ever becomes necessary and you genuinely think it is, we can have a discussion about it, and I will probably say, no, you're wrong. Because it's just not a thing, right? That's not a real thing. Those words are totally unnecessary, and we need to keep in mind that even if the child seems older, half the time it's very difficult to judge child age, and even if the child is 17 years old, they are still a minor, they are still inside of their parents' household, and their parent, is also our client, okay? So the child is our client, but also the parent is our client. Very, very important to maintain a sense of professionalism. We are a business. We are not just two people hanging out, chilling, learning a bit of math. It's not that. We do want to present an environment to the students that feels approachable and comfortable, but we do not need to say words like shit or damn in order to accomplish that. Under no circumstances should there be any cuss words, no matter what. Second big thing, don't talk about any illicit substances, any practices that are questionable. Don't really talk about politics. That's not what we're about here, okay? Do not present your political views. That's not what we're about. Do not talk about, even if the student brings it up, and students will sometimes bring it up, right? Obviously, we're just not here to talk about marijuana. We're not here to talk about alcohol laws. We're not here to talk about the consumption of alcohol. We're not here to talk about what you as a 21-plus-year-old person did on your Saturday. That's not what you're here for. None of those things should ever be discussed under any circumstances, right? In addition to that, and this is even more important, do not discuss prescription drugs either, okay? Do not talk about prescription drugs that you're taking, because that's just weird. Why would you do that? But two, right, don't talk about prescription drugs that the student is taking. This is very, very critical, okay? We have had in the past someone express opinions about prescription drugs, okay? So totally legal prescription drugs. And the parent has come back and said, I do not want you discussing with my child the medications that we are choosing as a family to put her on. And the parent was right. That parent was right in that circumstance. Under no circumstances should we express any opinions of any kind to highly impressionable children, okay? About prescription medications. I don't like ADHD medications. I don't think that they help. I have seen them hurt many, many students here. I have seen them hurt my brother. I have seen them hurt lots of people. Doesn't matter. I will not express any of those opinions during class to anyone, even if they ask, even if they talk about it, even if the student brings it up. In that circumstance I just described, the student brought it up, doesn't matter. Avoid the conversation. Abort, abort, abort. Okay? We're not having that conversation. That is not what we are here for. So it is time to rally the troops and get back onto the question, type current Q, whatever you got to do, but you got to get out of that situation. Do not engage in that conversation. There are also times when the students will use cuss words. The students will bring up marijuana or marijuana laws. The students will bring up all sorts of political issues. Do not engage. It doesn't matter, right? If by some random chance you end up in some kind of a discussion that's actually necessary, like we're really actually genuinely trying to talk about political things, still remember that your goal is to get the student to have ideas, to get the student to think, to get the student to explore. That doesn't mean that you need to put forth your opinion at all. What you can do is give general opinions that are held by people in the world. Don't present them as your opinions, because it's just a really, really bad idea to start getting into soapbox territory. All right, so we just want to avoid all of those things. I think that those are pretty much the biggest categories, right? Obviously no cuss words, but the really big one that has come up before, right, is prescription medications. So really don't talk about those. And then just this general feeling of, everything that I say to students, I joke around, I'm goofy, I will use kind of cutesy words like fam and yerp instead of yes or something, Y-E-R-P. And it's just my way of being kind of familiar and cutesy and whatever to get them to smile, to get them to laugh. That's great. But everything I say, I judge through the parental lens, right? I know that parents are looking at what I say some percentage of the time greater than 0%, okay? Some percentage of the time, and it doesn't matter if it's 4% or 95% of the time. You have to be professional. You have to have that kind of a thing there. Okay, so I know it's a weird balance. Everything we do here is contradictory. Yes, you should be familiar. Yes, you should be fun, but do not be inappropriate in any way. Just don't take it too far, right? Don't be too goofy. Don't be too silly. Don't let distraction conversations carry on for too long. Things like that. We want to make sure that if the parent comes back in and looks at that chat history, that they're going to be happy with what they see. Any questions about any of that stuff? Come and let me know.